Am I the asshole for telling my older brother he deserved to be dumped after he made fun of me for crying? Hey Reddit, I'm a 15-year-old guy, and this week has been one of the hardest of my life. My dog, Romeo, passed away unexpectedly a few days ago. He wasn't just a dog, a lot of people get WGAT I mean, he was my best friend, and the closest thing to me and since I was 3. Got me. I didn't think it would hit me this hard, but it did. Now, here's the thing, my older brother, 20M, is the stereotypical, tough guy. Super popular, full of confidence, high school musical type of shit. But he also has a bad habit of dismissing anything that doesn't fit into his worldview. We've never been that close, he thinks I'm too sensitive, and I think he's a bit of an ass, but I genuinely thought he'd understand how much Romeo meant to me. I mean, even if he didn't care about Romeo, he could have at least respected that I did, right? You guessed it, he didn't folded hands light skin tone folded hands light skin tone. Yesterday, I was sitting in the living room, looking through old photos of Romeo on my phone and to be honest I was crying. I thought I was alone. Then my brother walked in, took one look at me, and started laughing menacingly, literally it sounded like Doflamingo from One Piece. He said things like, "You really crying over a dog?" And, "Man up, it's just an animal." I tried to ignore him at first and asked him to stop, but that just seemed to make him more of an asshole. He kept going, saying things like, "What's next? You gonna hold a funeral for him?" And even pretended to cry in a mocking way. I don't know what changed in me, but I snapped. I was hurt, angry, and just so fed up with how shitty he was being. I remembered that not long ago, his girlfriend of 2 years had broken up with him. Ever since, he's been moping around the house, blasting sad breakup songs, and talking to anyone who'll listen about how heartbroken he is. So I looked him dead in the eye and said, "At least my just an animal loved me. Your girl clearly didn't love you the way she cheated on you. At least my dog died loving me. Your girl is still alive and didn't love you." He froze, completely silent. Then his face went red, and he stormed out of the room without saying a word. Fast forward to later, my parents heard about what happened, thanks to him, OFC, and told me I was out of line. They said I went too far and that I should apologize because what I said was cruel. But here's the thing, I don't feel like I owe him an apology. He mocked me while I was grieving, dismissed my feelings, and only stopped when I hit him where it hurt. I know what I said was harsh. I know it wasn't the nicest thing I could have said. But honestly, he started it. If he'd just shown me a shred of emotion, or even left me alone, I wouldn't have gone there. Now my parents are pressuring me to make things right with him, but I don't see why I should have to apologize when he was the one who started being shitty first. Am I the asshole? Hey everyone, thanks for everyone's support and love, I deeply appreciate it. I'm very sorry if I can't reply to everyone's comments, but truly I appreciate everyone's opinions and I'm very grateful for everyone who actually cares to help, and I will definitely read all of them and try to figure this out. Thank you. Not the asshole. Ask your parents where they are when he starts teasing you. Tell them no. A 20-year who makes fun of a sibling for crying over a pet is heartless. It also makes me wonder if he has a mental illness. He may be a psychopath or sociopath. I suggest you stay away from him. He has some serious problems. I cried like a baby when my pet died. Tell your parents he's 20 not 2 and he needs to apologize. Go LC with him when you move out of house. I'm a 52M and my English Mastiff died when I was 45 and I cried for weeks. There's nothing to be ashamed of. And yeah, he shits all over his little brother, he deserves the verbal dick punch. Not the asshole at all. Not the asshole. Don't dish out what you can't take. I'm sorry about your dog, it's not just an animal, he was a friend. I wish that was understood more. Not the asshole. Grown men cry. Grown men especially cry over dogs. I'm assuming that this dog was your family's dog, and not just yours. So he should have feelings about it too. The fact that he doesn't is concerning. What you said was harsh, but there comes a point where when someone is attacking you, you have to fight back. He deserved what you said and he needed to hear it. Your brother is a 20-year-old adult. You're a 15-year-old kid. He should be way beyond how he's treating you. He should be the one taking the high road, and he didn't. He attacked you, he effed around and found out, and now he knows that you won't take his shit anymore. Good for you. Sometimes that's the only way to handle a bully. Info. The stereotypical, tough guy. Super popular, full of confidence, high school musical type of shit. The stereotypical tough guy who does musicals. Not the asshole. You're a justified asshole, but my judgment is not the asshole. What you tried to describe your brother is not a tough guy, but he heavily believes in toxic masculinity. You're grieving your pet, and as someone who treats pets as family members, it isn't some animal. God forbid y'all lose a loved one. Does he expect you to not show emotion? Your brother sounds like a nightmare to deal with. It is 2025. Time for that toxic masculinity mindset to stay in the past. It is okay to cry op. When I lost my mom, 25M by the way, I was bawling my eyes out in the hospital she passed away in. May she rest in peace. I did it in front of everyone in that hospital. You're human op, it's okay to cry. Would I be the asshole for uninviting my aunt from a trip after she said I'm off my meds? I used to work in the tourism industry and would get awesome travel discounts for myself and a companion. In 2019, I traveled with my aunt, and we had a great time. We're close, we talk almost daily, so traveling together felt natural. But in 2020, I changed jobs and lost those discounts, which led me to start planning big trips every 5 years to make them extra special. I just turned 39 and began organizing my 40th birthday trip, set for next year. Originally, I suggested places like Iceland or a cruise. My aunt vetoed them all, saying she wanted a ship with a casino, not my thing. Eventually, she seemed okay with a multi-city Europe trip. London, Amsterdam, parts of Germany, Switzerland, and Paris. My sister liked those destinations but didn't want a motorcoach tour, so I decided on a train-based itinerary. I also invited other friends, family to join whichever legs they liked, since I'm paying full price now. The conflict started when my mom mentioned that my aunt told her I must be off my meds for dreaming up such a plan. Here's where it stings. I have bipolar 2, diagnosed 12 years ago. I take medication and follow personal rules against impulsive decisions. I won't jump into something major without months of thought. This trip is more than a year away, so there's nothing rash about it. But my family sometimes attributes any emotional moment on my part to me being unstable, while my sister can have a bad day and get full sympathy. I'm upset that my aunt gossiped about my mental health, especially since I've asked her not to share my private details. She's done it before, but this time calling me off my meds felt disrespectful and hurtful. Now I'm thinking of uninviting her from the trip altogether. On the one hand, it feels harsh because we've traveled together and I wanted everyone to have the option to join. On the other hand, this is my birthday trip, I'm covering my own costs, and I don't want to spend time with someone who dismisses my well-managed condition as crazy. So, would I be the asshole if I told my aunt she's no longer welcome on my 40th birthday trip after she made those comments? Or should I just let it slide, knowing she'll gossip anyway? Edit. I had a number of comments suggesting the trip was free, so I think I phrased it incorrectly in the original post. I would be paying for myself and everyone would be paying for their own portion of the trip. I'm considering their interests because they would also be paying to go on the trip. I don't like to travel solo as I've had a couple of bad experiences in the past related to my mental health while traveling, so it's something of a safety in numbers situation. My aunt is retired and widowed, so it's easy for her to join me on trips. Since my sister expressed interest, I would be able to go with just my sister, so I still wouldn't be solo. I get that it seems like I'm bending over backwards to accommodate everyone else, but it's to my benefit in that I can travel with someone who is just as excited about travel as I am. I love traveling to experience new cultures and learn about art and history. This Europe train trip is just as exciting to me as Iceland or any other destination. I don't feel like I'm sacrificing for this itinerary, but would be if I went on an ocean cruise. With regards to the gossiping, this is unfortunately something that my aunt and my mom's side of the family does often. They will gossip any chance they get. It's not something I enjoy, but I was raised around it, so I'm just used to it. If she only said it to my mom in concern, that would be one thing, but I know she's telling all of my extended family that I'm not close with, and they're all imagining the worst case scenarios. I also suspect that she will continue to use my planning this trip as source material for her gossiping. My mom shared what my aunt said in confidence, which I appreciated because it could have continued happening behind my back without my knowledge. I haven't confronted my aunt because she would know that my mom told her and it would cause family drama. My plan if I do disinvite her would be to explain that I'm going to do something with my sister as a sibling trip, or come up with a similar excuse that doesn't directly state the reason I'm not comfortable with her attending. The reason is if I say it's because of the comment, she'll know it was my mom and she may just double down on the gossip about me. I know this is ingenuine and I should be upfront, but it feels easier to just let it pass instead of feeding the flame. I hope this extra info helps with your judgments. I'll continue responding to some comments when I feel it makes sense to. YWNBTA. Anyone who sides with your aunt can join her in being uninvited. You are providing a generous, well-planned trip. And even with your medical situation, you're still allowed to have and express feelings. Not the asshole. I found it confusing why your aunt had so much input regarding your trip in the first place. Go where you want to go, quit accommodating everyone else. Remarking that someone must be off their meds is typically associated with people who are highly manipulative. They use that phrase to gaslight you into thinking you're acting crazy because they aren't getting what they want from you. This woman sounds toxic, and if this is typical behavior from her, I would limit my interactions with her altogether. Not the asshole. Why are you bending over backwards to accommodate your aunt's demands in the first place? Tell her to fuck off and go to Iceland. Are you covering her expenses, also? Then, no, you would not the asshole. If she's covering her own, it would be worth it to have a conversation and let her exit out of the trip on her own. Not the asshole. Go and enjoy your trip. Invite those who support and love you and who want to make this an experience to never forget. Not sure how far you are in planning, but check out the Interrail and Eurail Travelers Facebook group and the Man in Seat 61 website for loads of tips on train travel in Europe. Am I the asshole for letting my kids play basketball in my driveway during non-quiet hours? About 3 weeks ago I, 50 male, and my wife, 46 female, put up a basketball hoop in my driveway for my 12 female and 10 female children to practice basketball. They play on basketball teams. I live in an HOA and checked the CC&Rs prior, found nothing in there restricting this. Last week I got the following text. Jack, respectfully, may we get basketball quiet hours from 4-6 p.m. on weekends and 4:30-6:30 on weekdays? The constant bouncing of the ball is very disturbing of our senior rest time in the late afternoon. Thanks for considering. John. After again checking the county code and CC&Rs and consulting with my sister and friend, both attorneys, I wrote the following response a few days later. John, I've considered and discussed your request with my wife. While we want to be good neighbors and have met your prior requests, your current request for quiet hours during the late afternoon is unreasonably restrictive. In reading the County Noise Code section less than X, Noise Ordinance, and the CC&Rs, it appears that quiet hours as defined in the County Code are 10 p.m. 7 a.m. MF and 10 p.m. 9 a.m. Saturday Sun. The CC&Rs document is silent on additional quiet hours beyond County Code. You're asking for a restriction on their prime playtime between school and dinner for your senior rest time. I'm somewhat sympathetic to your dilemma, since I work from home mostly. During business hours, I hear all manner of less than neighborhood noises. I have found a set of noise-canceling headphones very essential and effective. My children certainly don't play basketball daily, and while I have not measured the sound pressure level inside the house yet, I have a hard time with thinking it approaches anywhere near 55 dBA limit as defined in the County Noise Ordinance. Thank you for your understanding. Fairly quickly, that night I received this response. Wow, Jack, your response is really over the top. We were simply asking for some neighborly consideration, and certainly not expecting a legal brief in response. The noises you describe do happen, are sporadic, and cease. The basketball is a constant bouncing on concrete under our bedroom and living areas, which is a completely different experience. Frankly, we were surprised the court was installed without the simple kindness of a conversation, as our lot lines are very minimal. The impact to our home enjoyment is substantial, and your suggestion that we live in headphones at the behest of your basketball whims is ludicrous. We are shocked at your unneighborly response, which is lacking in basic kindness. Consideration for the fact that we are over 70 and need some quiet periods to rest in our home is what we were seeking, as well as open rapport so that we may continue to enjoy our neighborhood together. The past 12+ years have been a very pleasant experience for us. We wrongly assumed that you simply didn't realize the impact on our living space from your sport court and were opening a dialogue. Not the asshole. Senior rest time. Seems unwise to plan rest time outside of mandated quiet hours. We are over 70 and need some quiet periods to rest in our home. Then live in the middle of nowhere. Live in a retirement community with no children in the first place. Have some fucking agency. The basketball is a constant bouncing on concrete under our bedroom and living areas, which is a completely different experience. Frankly, we were surprised the court was installed without the simple kindness of a conversation, as our lot lines are very minimal. How is your driveway underneath their home, though? Please don't let your kids play in their own driveway after school, ever. Nope. Your response was fine, not the asshole. John lives in a neighborhood with other people. He can deal with daytime minimal noise. I think I would answer differently if it was a short-term request, maybe if someone was seriously ill or something. But making up senior quiet hours, as though that's a recognizable thing? No, he's way out of line. Not the asshole. 4:30-6:30 is exactly when they should be playing after school. Really, when else would they get to play on a weekday between school and homework and chores and getting to bed at a decent house? Your neighbors are unreasonably grumpy. I can't get over senior rest time. What on earth? The basketball is a constant bouncing on concrete under our bedroom and living areas, which is a completely different experience. This is what I have a question about. Are your kids encroaching on your neighbor's property? Is the basketball going onto their property? Not the asshole. Basically, they want the kids to play before bedtime instead of after school. That's a ridiculous ask. If they wanted a quiet, senior rest time, they should have moved into a 55-plus community. Kids playing and making noise is part of living in a neighborhood with kids. Not the asshole. Sounds like your neighbors are the classic elderly couple with control issues who feel everyone should bend to their whims because they're older. Good lord, the message he sent made it sound like you live next door to a retirement home and were disturbing a whole community of dementia patients. They can get a big ol' lot in the middle of nowhere, or they can suck it up and deal with the reality of living with neighbors. Putting everyone on their nap schedule is not an option. Would I be the asshole if I point out that a baby is 100 times more work than puppies? So basically the title, we got puppies, I love them but they are a lot. Very busy bees, and it's been a minute since I've done the puppy thing, and never two together, it's been an adjustment. We discussed beforehand and I had very specific conditions, namely regular walks, and we had to commit to training so they'd be well adjusted and we could travel with them easily. My partner was very on board, so we adopted towards the end of last year and started puppy classes within a week. Our initial puppy course was 6 weeks long, and by week 4 they were miffed about going and sacrificing their Saturday mornings. By the last week they were glad it was finally over. I took over doing the homework with both pups by week 4 because it irritated them. The pups weren't picking things up fast enough for them, so I thought it would be better for the pups for me to take over. They did one walk and complained because the puppy was weaving around and not walking at heel properly, so I've taken over those as well. We have started basically obedience now and I'm training both. There are a lot of other examples should anyone want more info, but essentially partner is now broody and wants a baby. Would I be the asshole if I pointed out they couldn't make it through a 6-week puppy class course? How on earth would they manage a baby? Run, run, run. Take the puppies and run. This is not someone to consider having an equal partnership with, let alone children. Be glad it was puppies and you can take them and run. Wait till they meet a toddler. Open mouth smile, rolling on the floor, laughing loudly, crying. I have almost a decade of experience as a preschool teacher and it still doesn't prepare you for 24/7 parenthood. Not the asshole, but there's much bigger issues at play than whether it would be mean to say that or not. Not the asshole, you are correct, and also, in my experience, they won't behave for them if they doesn't put any work into training. If they know that your partner will get exasperated and give up, they will run roughshod over them while being perfect angels for you. And the same goes for kids. Lots of, but she's better for you, and, but you're better at changing diapers, and, he just wanted mom, dad, in your future with this partner. An infant is 24/7 and 2-year-olds are busy. Your significant other has no clue what it takes to have a baby, and if animals are taxing on his patience, a baby will be too. Maybe he should just permanently stick to fish. I wouldn't be on board to have a baby with someone who bails and leaves me to suffer alone. Not the asshole. He wants a baby because he sees you doing all the hard work with the puppy, and he will expect the same with a baby. Run. He's showing you he's not a reliable partner, untrustworthy, and had no integrity. Info. Whose idea was the dog? Was the dog always designed to be a test for having a baby? Was that something you two talked about? Are you withholding gendered terms to try to avoid an unpleasant truth you can already see? I need context.